"What are you putting in Mom's milk?" I asked my sister. She froze. That's when I realized the white powder in her hand wasn't medicine. It was poison. Her fingers tightened around a small plastic packet, pale white powder visible through the thin seam. For a moment, neither of us breathed. Outside, the late afternoon sun slanted through the kitchen blinds, slicing lines across her face. She looked like a stranger. "It's vitamins," she said. "Too fast. Too bright." I stepped closer. "Vitamins don't look like that." She slid the packet behind her back. "You don't help around here. You wouldn't know what Mom needs." That was the first blow. Because even though I was the older sibling, even though I lived 10 minutes away and visited every day after work, Caroline had moved back home months earlier, claiming she wanted to take care of Mom after her health scare. It sounded noble back then. But something had changed. Something dark. Mom was asleep in the living room, curled under the same knitted blanket she'd had since 1992. She'd been weaker lately, dizzy, forgetting meals, sleeping at strange hours. The doctors didn't know why. They suspected stress. Maybe medication imbalance. No one suspected foul play. But I did. Not until that moment, but all at once, everything snapped into place. I moved faster than I thought I could. I grabbed Caroline's wrist. She jerked away, the packet flying out of her hand and skidding across the tile. It landed near the pantry door. Caroline's eyes widened with a feral flash, fear mixed with fury. "Don't touch that," she snapped. "What is it?" I demanded. "None of your business." She lunged, but I got to it first. I snatched the packet from the floor and turned it over. No label. No prescription. Just a faint chemical smell. "What are you doing to her?" My voice cracked. "Caroline, what is this?" She looked at me like I was the problem. Like I was ruining everything. "You don't understand," she hissed. "Mom doesn't need the stress. I'm the one who takes care of her. I'm the one who deserves what she's leaving behind." My blood ran cold. "What she's leaving behind," I repeated quietly. Her jaw tightened. "I'm tired of waiting." The silence between us became a living thing, heavy, suffocating, charged. Then Mom coughed weakly from the sofa. Caroline moved before I could stop her. She reached for the milk again, but I grabbed her arm, shoving the cup out of her reach. "Get away from her," I said. Caroline's expression collapsed into something twisted, anger, desperation, maybe even regret, but only for a second. Then her face hardened. "This is your fault," she whispered. But I already knew. Whatever my sister was hiding, this was only the beginning. Growing up, people always said Caroline and I were so lucky to be close in age. They imagined sleepovers, whispering secrets, braiding hair. They didn't understand that closeness doesn't guarantee connection. Sometimes it breeds competition. And in our house, competition was the air we breathed. Our mother loved us both. She worked 2 jobs for most of our childhood, stretching what little she had to give us everything she could. But where I excelled in school, Caroline struggled. Where I was patient and quiet, she was impulsive and loud. Teachers praised me, neighbors adored her, and somewhere in that uneven praise, resentment started taking shape. It wasn't obvious back then. It was small things: Caroline hiding my homework, throwing away birthday cards from friends, telling Mom I'd hit her when I never touched her. The usual sibling nonsense, people would say. But I knew better. As adults, the gap widened. I built my own life: steady job, stable apartment. Caroline bounced between jobs, boyfriends, and excuses. Mom still supported her financially, quietly covering rent when Caroline couldn't pay, pretending everything was fine. Then came the inheritance chatter. Mom wasn't wealthy, but she had a paid-off house and a modest savings account. After her mild stroke last year, lawyers were involved, paperwork updated, wills discussed. She assured us everything would be split equally. And I believed her. Caroline didn't. I remember the first time she brought it up. "You don't even need the inheritance," she said one night while we were cleaning the garage. "You already have your life together. It's Mom's decision."
"She owe me more," she snapped.
I stayed. "You left." It was ridiculous. I visited constantly. But in her mind, living in the house made her the martyr. When she officially moved back home, I told myself she was trying to help. I ignored the tightness in her voice whenever I walked in. I dismissed the way she hovered when the doctor prescribed Mom new medication. I even overlooked her sudden interest in Mom's financial documents. But after the incident with the milk, the past came rushing back like a tide. Caroline's envy wasn't new. It had been maturing quietly for decades, growing from childhood jealousy into something hardened and dangerous. I started digging. Bank statements were missing.
Passwords had been changed.
Mom's pill bottles looked tampered with, dosages that didn't match the doctor's instructions. When I confronted Mom, she brushed it off. "Oh, honey, Caroline is just helping." "Helping with what, exactly?" I pressed. "She organizes things. I get confused sometimes." Mom's voice trembled, though. Something unspoken hovered behind her eyes. She didn't want to think her own daughter could hurt her. Neither did I. But that packet of powder was a reality I couldn't unsee. And if Caroline had been planning something, it wasn't impulsive. It was deliberate, calculated, and it had been building for a very, very long time. I knew confronting Caroline again would only push her further into whatever dark plan she'd been constructing. She was unpredictable when cornered. So I did the one thing she didn't expect. I acted normal,
Calm.
cordial, even a little apologetic. She seemed suspicious at first, but gradually her guard loosened. Meanwhile, I searched. I went through Mom's room first, gently, respectfully, trying not to unsettle her while she rested. I didn't expect to find anything there, but I wanted to understand how deeply Caroline had wormed into every part of Mom's life. The first sign, a pill organizer with 2 compartments empty. According to the doctor, Mom was supposed to take only 1 per day. 2 missing wasn't catastrophic, but if repeated, it could cause the dizziness and fatigue Mom had been experiencing. The second sign, her bank statements. Not the originals, just the digital printouts Caroline had prepared for convenience. But the numbers didn't add up. Several withdrawals in the past 6 weeks, all small enough not to cause alarms, all done under the guise of groceries or pharmacy runs. Except Mom hadn't been going anywhere. Caroline had. The third sign was more unsettling. Inside Caroline's old bedroom closet, under a pile of sweaters, I found a folder. Inside were notes, scribbles, timelines, dosages, even Google printouts. How fast does sedative toxicity show symptoms? Non-traceable household substances that cause weakness. Symptoms of slow poisoning in elderly patients. I sank onto the floor, the folder trembling in my hands. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't emotional. This was a plan. A long, calculated plan to make Mom sicker and sicker until a medical emergency finally took her. A natural death. And with me not living in the house, Caroline would have full access to everything: bank accounts, property, belongings. The perfect setup. My stomach turned. Then I found something worse. A printed copy of Mom's will. The most recent version. But certain sections were highlighted, sections Caroline had clearly studied. Notes scribbled in the margins. Ask a lawyer about early access? Do I need a death certificate? If she goes to sleep, no autopsy. My hand shook so hard I almost dropped the papers. This wasn't just greed. It was desperation. And she was close, terrifyingly close to succeeding. I slipped the folder into my bag and locked myself in the bathroom to breathe. My reflection looked foreign, paler, older somehow. I knew what I had to do next, but I couldn't just call the police without proof of the powder. I needed something physical, something they could test. The packet she dropped was still in my possession, but I needed to know if there was more. So I waited until she went to the store, then searched her bathroom drawer. I found 4 more packets, all unmarked, all identical. I placed them into a sealed zip bag and hid it in my backpack. When Caroline came home, she glanced at me with a strange calmness. "You're here a lot these days," she said. "Just helping," I replied. She smiled, but her eyes were dead. That evening, the house felt like it was holding its breath. Mom had gone to bed early, exhausted, shaky, but stable. I stayed in the living room, pretending to scroll through my phone, waiting for Caroline to make her move. Not because I wanted to catch her in the act, but because I needed to know exactly how far she was willing to go.
She didn't take long.
Around 10 p.m., she crept into the kitchen. I heard the faint clink of glass, the soft shuffle of packets being opened. My pulse thudded against my ribs. I walked in casually, as if getting water. She nearly dropped the mug. "What are you doing up?" she asked. "Couldn't sleep." Her expression tightened. "Mom asked for warm milk." "Did she?" I said evenly. Caroline's fingers curled around the mug like claws. "You think I'm stupid?" I met her gaze. "I think you're dangerous." Silence.
Dense.
Electric. Her nostrils flared. "You always thought you were better than me."
This isn't about me.
"Yes, it is," she snapped. "You got the grades, the job, the friends, the perfect life. Everything came easy for you. And Mom always loved you more." "That's not true." "Yes, it is," she screamed, slamming the mug onto the counter. Milk splashed. "I stayed. I sacrificed. I took care of her. I deserve something for once." "You don't deserve her money," I said. "You deserve jail." Her face twisted. "You think the police will believe you? Everyone knows I take care of her. And you what? Show up for an hour and pretend to be the hero." I stepped closer. "I found the packets, Caroline. I found your notes, your searches, your plan." Her expression flickered, shock, then panic, then pure, feral anger. "You went through my things," she whispered. "I had to." "You had no right. You were poisoning her." She lunged. Not for me, for the mug. I blocked her, grabbing her wrist. The struggle was sudden and violent. She was stronger than I expected, fueled by adrenaline and obsession. The mug toppled, spilling its contents across the counter and dripping onto the floor. "Let go of me," she shrieked. "Stop. You're hurting Mom." She shoved me hard. I hit the edge of the counter, pain shooting up my rib cage. She grabbed another packet from her pocket, but I snatched it from her hand. She froze. Her breathing was ragged, wild. "Give it to me."
No.
She took a step back, eyes darting toward Mom's bedroom. "I can't let you ruin this."
I ser dig her. Test-tiving.
"This? You call killing our mother this?" Caroline's voice dropped to a whisper. "I need that money."
I'm drowning.
Debt collectors. Lawyers.
You don't understand.
"You should have asked for help." "You wouldn't have helped," she said bitterly. "Not you."
I would have, I said.
"You just never gave me the chance." Her face crumbled, anger giving way to something like grief. Then she bolted toward the hallway, toward Mom's room, and I knew I had only seconds to act. I sprinted after her, heart pounding. If she reached Mom, if she panicked and tried something reckless, I tackled her halfway down the hallway. We hit the carpet hard, her elbow jamming into my shoulder. She clawed at my arms, screaming, twisting, trying to throw me off. I pinned her wrist to the floor, breathing fast and uneven. "Stop," I shouted. She didn't. Her fingers scraped my face. She kicked wildly, nearly connecting with my ribs. It was survival, hers, not mine. She knew this was the end of her plan if I stopped her now. I grabbed her wrists and held them down until her thrashing slowed. Her voice cracked open. "You don't know what they're going to do to me. You did this to yourself." "No," she screamed. "I was fixing everything. You think you're saving her, but I was saving us." I tightened my hold. "Mom doesn't need saving. She needs protection from you." That broke something in her. The fight drained out of her body all at once, leaving her trembling beneath me. She began to cry, deep, ragged sobs that shook her whole frame. For a moment, she looked like the little girl she used to be, the one who clung to me when the lights went out during thunderstorms. But that little girl had grown into a woman who nearly killed our mother. I stood up slowly and backed away, watching her carefully. She didn't get up. She just curled into herself and cried. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed my phone, and locked myself in the laundry room. My fingers shook so badly I could barely dial. But I did. 911, the operator answered. "What's your emergency?" My sister tried to poison my mother, I said, voice steadying with each word. I have evidence. I need officers and an ambulance immediately. The operator asked questions: Mom's condition, Caroline's location, whether the situation was still dangerous. I answered mechanically. Adrenaline made everything sharp, cold, distant. Units are on the way, the operator confirmed. When I hung up, I exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. I checked on Mom. She was asleep, peaceful, unaware of the chaos unraveling inches away from her door. I sat beside her and gently held her hand, grounding myself. The front door burst open minutes later. Voices, footsteps, radios crackling. 2 officers found Caroline in the hallway, sitting against the wall, staring blankly at her hands as if they belonged to someone else. When they approached, she didn't fight. She just whispered. I didn't mean to. But intent didn't matter, not anymore. They cuffed her. As they let her out, she looked up at me. Not angry, not afraid, just empty. You ruined everything, she said softly. I didn't answer, because the truth was simple. I didn't ruin anything. I saved Mom, and I saved Caroline from herself. The ambulance arrived with piercing sirens that sliced through the quiet neighborhood. EMTs checked Mom while I explained everything: what I found, what happened, how long I suspected something was wrong. Mom woke during the examination, confused and frightened. Honey, what's going on? Why are there police in my house? I hesitated. How do you tell your mother that her own daughter tried to kill her? Caroline did something, I said gently.
She's not well.
She made some dangerous choices. Mom tried to sit up. Where is she? She's with the police. Her breathing hitched. No, that can't be. She would never. She loves me. I felt a sting behind my eyes. I know this is hard, but I found things, Mom.
Plans.
Notes. And I stopped her before she hurt you. Mom's hand trembled as she touched her forehead. I should have seen it. She's been so on edge lately. She wasn't thinking clearly, I said. It was the only kindness I could offer. The EMTs insisted she go to the hospital for tests. Her vitals were shaky, but manageable. I rode with her in the ambulance, holding her hand as city lights flickered through the windows. At the hospital, doctors ran blood work, toxicity screens, neurological exams. They confirmed what I feared: traces of sedative overuse. Not enough to kill her, but enough to weaken her steadily over time. Mom stared at the ceiling, silent. Why would she do it? She whispered. She thought she deserved your money, I said gently. She thought hurting you was the only way. Mom shook her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. I failed her. You didn't, I said. She made her own choices. But the guilt hollowed her eyes anyway. I stayed overnight at the hospital. I called relatives, explained the situation, the charges, the upcoming investigation. Everyone was shocked. Some cried. Some defended Caroline. Others said they weren't surprised. The next morning, detectives asked for my statement. I gave them everything, every suspicion, every detail, every packet, every note. Then they delivered the news. Caroline was being charged with attempted murder, elder abuse, and financial exploitation. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like burial. Burying the sister I once loved, burying the illusion that family meant safety, burying the childhood we shared. When I returned to Mom's house 2 days later to gather her belongings, the silence felt haunted. The kitchen counter still held the dried, milky stain from the fallen mug. Her bedroom felt too fragile. Caroline's room, now part crime scene, part memory, smelled like perfume and dust. I found an old photo on her dresser. Caroline and I as kids, arms around each other, smiling like the world was simple. I sat on her bed and cried for the sister she could have been, not the one she became. 2 weeks later, Mom was home again, stronger, clearer, and finally off the sedatives that had been slowly draining her life. I moved in temporarily to help her recover. She insisted she didn't need the help, but after everything that happened, leaving her alone wasn't an option. One morning, we sat at the kitchen table. The sunlight filtered in just like the day everything fell apart. Mom held her tea, silent for a long time. "Do you hate her?" she finally asked. "No," I said. "I hate what she did, but not her. I keep asking myself if I miss signs. If I could have saved her before it got this far." "You didn't cause this," I told her. "And you don't have to carry her choices." She nodded, though sorrow still lingered in her eyes. Later that day, the detective called with updates. Caroline had confessed. Tears, remorse, explanations that didn't explain anything. She said she didn't want Mom dead, just sick enough to depend on her, sick enough to eventually pass without pain. A twisted mercy. A delusion.
A crime.
They found more evidence on her laptop, search histories, dosage calculations, even financial spreadsheets predicting how long her inheritance would last. The case was airtight. She would be going away for a long time. That evening, I sat outside on the porch, watching the neighborhood kids ride bikes, their laughter carrying across the street. It felt surreal, how normal life looked, despite the storm that had torn through ours. Mom joined me, blanket around her shoulders. "You saved my life," she said softly. I swallowed. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," she said firmly. "Not anyone. You." Her words hit deeper than she knew. Because I had saved her, but in some complicated, painful way, I had saved Caroline too. If she had succeeded, if Mom had died quietly in her sleep, Caroline would have lived with that blood on her conscience forever. And when the truth eventually surfaced, as it always does, her life would have shattered even worse. Stopping her wasn't just justice. It was mercy. A different kind than she imagined, but mercy nonetheless. That night, when I tucked Mom into bed, she squeezed my hand. "We'll get through this," she whispered. And I believed her. Families break. Families heal. But survival is its own kind of love. When I finally went home, I opened my phone and found the last photo Caroline and I took together, a Christmas dinner 2 years ago. We both looked happy. Real or not, it was a piece of the sister I once knew. I didn't delete it. Some memories are warnings. Some are reminders. Some are anchors. As I turned off the lights, I realized something simple but powerful. Saving someone isn't always about pulling them out of danger. Sometimes, it's about stopping them from becoming someone they can't come back from. And that's what I did. I saved my mother. And, in a different way, I saved my sister too.